welcome back to another episode of Series 6 of the Sports for Dummies podcast. Each week I am joined by my sporting guru and good friend, Lewis Pearce, who breaks down the 3 biggest stories in the world of sport. Whether you know everything about sport or absolutely nothing, this is the podcast for you. Lewis, first, that is the best intro I've actually ever done.
It was as if you were reading it off a script. That was so smooth. Hey, welcome to the Sports for Dummies podcast. The podcast. That was absolutely dead on. Smashed it.
Thank you. It's like I've been presenting for 6 years of my life. How are you? How's your week been?
It's been good, thanks. It's been nice. I mean, we sat through the boredom of Liverpool last night, which was a complete waste of time. But anyway, a different conversation. It's been good. It's weird because I'm in like this sort of, I would refer to it as a bit like a limbo now of uni, where I've got work to do, but not a lot's going on in life because obviously all my life is around uni, but I've only got a month to go. So it's like this weird sort of transition of like finishing uni, but still, anyway, but I'm nearly there, which is good news. So the clock is finally like really at the very end. Like it's like 11:59. We've got that last minute and boom, we've got the new year. So yeah, how have you been?
Did I meet you in your first or second year of uni?
First, you met me in my first year of uni.
Wow.
It was my second term, first year of uni, and now I'm in my final year, which is just as absolutely bonkers. It's crazy.
You're like an actual man now.
I know. I've grown it all from that. Well, not really. I haven't really changed at all. But
I'm a real boy.
Yeah, I'm a real boy. But no, my nose starts to grow as well. But no, I feel like I've grown up a bit, and obviously we change over time. With 2 years, like I think about my life 2 years ago, where I was, and now where I am. It's like it's mad. Hope, how's your week been?
Well, I'm not in limbo as much as you. I've got some exciting things on the horizon. Some tricky decisions have had to be made this past month. And now that I've finalised those decisions and I've listened to my gut, because when you have a decision to make, whether it's your heart or your gut, you kind of always know the answer, but you let yourself procrastinate and you let yourself be swayed by different people's opinions and by your own confusion. Anyway, so now that I've made decisions and things are in place, there's some really exciting things on the horizon. And not going to lie to you, I'm smashing the gym.
Are you? You're getting into the gym?
Right.
Yeah.
Proper loving it. So I've got a notebook now, Lewis.
Okay.
And I've labelled in my gym different kind of rows in the gym of equipment are different numbers. So there's 6 different workouts now.
Okay.
Right? I've done them all, 4 reps of 12 at a baseline. Like not pushing myself too much as a starting point.
Yeah.
Now I've got the starting points for all 6 workouts. Every time I go, I'm like, right, what workout is it today? It's number 3. What did I do last time? Let's smash it. Do more.
Oh,
and
okay,
then
I'm interested. Yeah.
Because otherwise I was going and I was like enjoying it, but like, what's the point? And I can't remember what I'm doing. And also like, what did I do last time? I don't know.
You need a goal. That's right. Yeah.
I'm competing with myself.
Love it.
And I'm going to get hench.
You're going to get wham. What's the end goal? What's the plan?
There's no plan. I just want to be healthy.
Just fun. Okay. That's good though. I like that.
And also build up my glutes, the biggest they could possibly be.
Okay. So that is the goal. Number 1 goal, glute. I've got to think. We've got to think
Gluteus maximus.
We've got to think of something from another G. Giant, no, not giant glutes is a bit boring.
Giant, gorgeous, glutey grapes.
Right.
Or something. I love a big bum on myself and I feel like it fell off for a few months and now it's coming back, Lewis. It's making its comeback.
But I hope, yeah, so we've got 3 stories this week.
Moving away from the arse to the stories.
Well, exactly, move away from the behind to the in front.
Hey!
There you go. So yeah, we're talking about 3 interesting stories this week. I've kind of tied 2 together in a similar way, but not like last week. Last week, if you haven't listened to our first episode of Series 6, which is pretty mental to say Series 6, please go and listen to it. And we're going to start, Hope, with some quite strange news, actually. News that I hadn't heard before today and kind of popped up, and I was thinking, wow. Hope, have you heard anything about the Grand National and potential security threats?
Oh, no, I haven't. Now, the Grand National is the horse race.
It is the horse race, that's right.
The biggest one.
Yeah.
And once, my sister was pregnant, one of the times that she was pregnant, and it was her baby shower. And we had a man here because the drain was blocked up and he was trying to unclog the drain. So it stunk like poo everywhere. Then we had a flood happening from the lights in the kitchen.
Right.
But the Grand National was on and we all placed bets done a sweepstake, whatever it's called, for the Grand National on her baby shower. So that's what I always
Why
think
is
of
it
now.
called a baby shower? But don't you think that is just such a strange,
Well, it's all American, isn't
yeah,
it?
baby shower though. I mean, I don't know what you'd call it. It's obviously a celebration, and a baby shower kind of works, but it's like,
Well, in America, they have like bridal shower. It's just like, I think the term shower is used in conjunction to actually like a celebration where you're showering gifts on a special occasion.
Who's going to be doing the voice of Wikipedia soon? In conjunction with celebration of this sort of, right.
As last week, we mentioned the hydrogens
Oh,
in the
right. Yeah, from the
methanes.
Calthans and whatever. Right, yeah, so we're talking about the Grand National. So, normally, Hope, Grand National, like you were saying, very exciting. People always get excited for it. There's lots of, I would say in the horse racing world, which is fairly niche, lots of people know about the Grand National. Everyone kind of knows what it is and the events, the betting, all that stuff. But I think this year, more than ever, it actually might step up slightly because apparently security is set to be stepped up this year for the Grand National after 100 eco-activists and effectively they've defined the term as militant vegans. So I'm basically going to call it passionate vegans, effectively, have said they might be potentially planning to sabotage the event. Now, the supposed plan is that they're going to use ladders and bolt cutters to storm through security fences, and the aim at the end of the day is to glue themselves to the course. That's what has been rumoured. An undercover reporter was actually with this Animal Rebellion campaign group, and a woman was heard saying, this whole campaign is going to be at the Grand National, the biggest horse race in the world. We have 600 million people viewing this horse race worldwide. We've got 300 million of bets on the horse race, and we're just going to ruin it. Now, Hope, I don't know how much you know about the Grand National and the controversy around it. Since 2000, 55 horses have died as a result of being involved in horse racing at the Grand National. So, obviously, they're basically turning around and saying that kind of, one of the root causes effectively of animal cruelty is effectively horse racing, and specifically for animals. I know it's an event where really lots of animals are involved. That's the thing. If you think about events, really, I mean, dog racing doesn't really exist anymore. But in terms of animals being involved in sports, horse racing would be the number one. Aside in my head, maybe like I can't remember what it's called, but like the American events where you get right like bull riding effectively. But then again, I don't know how.
A rodeo.
Exactly like a rodeo. The point is, horse racing is the biggest, I would argue, the biggest animal-involved sport in the world. And basically, the point they're trying to raise is that they basically want to stop horse racing entirely, and so one of the ways is doing this. So, as I said, the plan was to glue themselves on the track. Now, I don't know, I want your opinion in a sec, Hope, but I'm going to give you all the stats and you can tell me what you think. So the police have basically come out and said they are working with various horse racing groups to prevent any, sort of incidences or any sight potentially of people trying to break in. Now, they've come out and said that public order or criminal offences will not be tolerated and will be dealt with robustly. So effectively, if you are causing issues, you can get arrested. It is going to happen. So Hope, what are your thoughts?
Well, I don't think we should be endangering animals in any which way. There's a lot of money in horse riding. So obviously, where there's money, there's greed, and sometimes values and morals can be set aside sometimes when actually they should be at the forefront. You could argue that it's good for horses to race because it's good for their fitness. But there needs to be more put in place to ensure they're safe and well looked after. It's a difficult one. I do think that the vegans that you're speaking about here, the fact that they've actually said what they're planning to do, I know you said about the kind of mole being there, but that kind of makes me think, were they actually serious or were they just saying it? And even just saying it is leading people to have these conversations, which could be enough, effectively, to share that awareness. Whether or not they'll actually go and glue themselves is another matter that we'll just have to see. Do you think there's a more effective thing that they could do?
Well, I think protesting, for me personally, I don't think ever that gluing yourself to anything solves any problem ever. It's like those two girls, and again, I'm not going to judge anyone ever. That's not what I'm here to do. But like when those two girls threw the can of, it was tomato soup, wasn't it, on the sunflower painting on Van Gogh's, and actually, that was actually protected glass. They didn't damage the painting. So in essence, like, obviously that would have caused uproar and complete controversy if they'd done that and it actually ruined something, but it hadn't. But ruining a whole event, like actually going out the way to ruin someone's day that people have paid money for, and you've got to think as well that I think the animal cruelty does come into it, absolutely, and there's no two ways about that. But the fact is, and it's a double-edged sword. There's lots of arguments, so I'll stop like ducking and diving and make the point.
Yeah, stop sitting on the fence.
No, I'm not sitting on the fence, but because lots of thoughts go into my head. The thing is, for me personally, those horses are treated with the utmost respect and loyalty. If you look at how horse riders and racers speak about their horses and people that take care of them, they adore the animals. They absolutely adore them. They mean everything to them. And at the end of the day, they are valuable assets. They're not just things they're using for fun. They are commercial, I don't know what the word would be, but they're commercial property effectively that they're using.
They're not a commodity.
No, exactly. They're not a play toy.
I feel like I've swallowed a book since our last episode.
So you've done well. Like you're like
intelligent word.
Yeah. I hope, by the way, we didn't add, but I hope literally since the last episode has read the entire dictionary back to front in multiple languages, so she's learnt multiple words. Yeah. So my thought hope really is that the answer would be protesting it, be coming out and making complaints. I think the fact is there is no bolder move that you can make apart from something like this. If you glue yourself to a track, then no one can argue because obviously you've then gone out, you've done something which is an absolute extreme. But I don't believe it's the right way of protesting ever. I don't think it solves any problems really. But we'll have to wait and see.
A lot of the time though, people protest, whether that's just in a calm kind of marching manner or whether it's more extreme like gluing yourself to a road or a track in this case. People do that because they've tried other avenues first and they're not being heard. So I completely understand why people want to protest. And also, okay, the fans have paid a lot of money and you mentioned ruining people's days and all that stuff and the event happening and ruin it. But if these people are protesting because of the animals and they're only thinking about the animals and the animals being safe, then I don't think that's a bad moral compass for them to have. Because not being funny, screw everyone who paid money, screw everyone's day. If an animal is going to be hurt and killed effectively, if it's not cared for in the correct manner, then I don't think they're wrong.
Oh no, I don't, and I'm not disagreeing with that at all. I don't, and I think that as an example with Cheltenham that just went, there was a horse that died on the track. It jumped and unfortunately it fell in a way, and they basically couldn't recover it after the race. And the point that I make is that of course it's terrible, and not for 1 minute am I defending any form, because I think animals should be treated outrightly with love and respect, and they shouldn't be put through any form of torture or they shouldn't be mistreated anyway, or distress. But the truth is, as a person that is not involved in horse racing, a bit like football, any sport, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. You don't know what's happening. But from what you can see personally, when you listen to the jockeys, when you listen to the trainers, and they absolutely adore the horses, like I said. And so I think that's where I stand in terms of that. But I also think that there should be protocols that are in place that mean that if a horse dies, something should, it's terrible that a horse can die and nothing happens, and that the media, speaks about it, brushes over it, and it's on to the next race. Like that shouldn't happen. But unfortunately, it is the way it is, and that's really difficult. But coming back to the point, I think you're right. I think you make a good point about when you're not heard, you have to protest in a way that is unexpected. But I also don't think that like going against the police and stuff and effectively. Because I was going to say, there is actually an event that we were going to talk about that was called The Race That Never Was, because in 1993, 15 animal rights protesters actually reached the first fence and delayed the start by 8 minutes of the horse. I believe it was actually the Grand National. And after 2 false starts for various reasons, the race was effectively declared void. So, I mean, in that sense, it has happened before. So we'll have to just wait and see.
You mentioned there about how people like trainers and people involved in horse racing will talk in the media and how much they love and respect their horses. One thing I would say about that is that people can say anything when they've got a camera shoved in their face. But also, as someone who has been to like the National Stud and have met a whole array of people who work in different areas within the equestrian industry, including a vet who has worked on races. I do think you're right there. I do think that a lot of the time the horses' safety and health is at the forefront of everyone's minds. It's just a shame the horses can't give their consent. That would be the solution, wouldn't it? Do you want to do this race? Say nay or nay. that would be the best solution.
And my thought on it, Hope, really, the way that, and this is my perspective in the way that I see it, is that the racing for me it's not so much for me personally, if I had to say something, when I watch horse racing, I am more bothered about the after event, parading the winning horse around when it's clearly distressed and not enjoying it, making them walk really slowly. And it takes like 10 minutes for them to walk all the way around the silly little podium. And then they walk around in a circle 5 times and everyone claps. And then sometimes they go backwards and forward. That is just ridiculous. There's no need for stuff like that. But I think horse racing itself is a conversation you can have in terms of the ethical aspects and all those bits and bobs. But the flip side that I would argue, and I would stand by, is the whole parading a horse. It's not even like they're just casually walking down the track. It's that they are walked in a specific way, slowly. They are stopped for photos, like they're animals, and lots of animals don't want to do what you want them to do. They're not like humans. They can't speak. And so you're right. I think there is that sort of thing where that side of me, I feel personally, my stomach inside feels weirder watching that than actually the horses jumping like through or galloping.
I mean, we could have a discussion, a whole episode about animals in sport and whether it's right or wrong. Because I mean, like cockfighting or bear fighting has always been a thing. Or even in Spain when they have the bulls with the red thing and
the matadors.
That's it. Even going back to the Roman times with lions being in the den with a guy. Yeah, I mean, you're always going to get people who have good intentions, and you're always going to get people who are abusive and don't have any regard. We have not got the answers, Lewis.
No, we don't. I hope we're
we just got kind hearts.
Exactly. We're only posing questions to the listeners. Let us know what you think about horse racing, and equally,
please
do you think equally this is going to go ahead? Are the Grand National going to step up their security? Because it's not far away now, the Grand National. But the other big news, Hope, is that, of course, Ascot is happening very soon after the King's coronation. So that's the first big event that they might be targeting as well. But you're right. I think the overall point might be, like you said, coming back to it, we might have had this whole conversation and they don't do anything. We might have had this whole debate about horse racing and the ethics, and actually nothing might happen. We'll just have to wait and see.
But then I think that's good that we're having this discussion. But yeah, like Lewis said, let us know what you think. You can either comment below if you're on YouTube watching this, or you can email us, sportsfordummiespodcast@gmail.com. We'd be interested to know kind of what side of the fence you're on. When is the Grand National, by the way?
When is the Grand National?
I want to put it in my diary.
It's the 15th. Oh, I believe it's 10 days. Believe it's the 15th of April. Yes, it's the 15th of April. I was right. Come on. Okay.
Listen.
Gosh, yes, horse racing money. Right, moving on.
To story number 2.
To story number 2. We're talking, actually, I think quite a fun story, because have we ever discussed Footie Scran on here? I don't think we have.
What is that? It sounds like a type of food.
Right. For those who don't know, before we jump into the next story, we're going to quickly give a precursor. Footie Scran has effectively blown up on Twitter, and it's this Twitter page that does polls, and so people that go all around. It was actually all around England first, and then it became international. Any football ground that you go to that does food, you can vote Scran or no Scran. So I'm sure we can insert a photo here. They'll have like a photo of a great hot dog, and it would say Scran or no Scran, and people would vote would they buy it or would they leave it. And obviously, price is a factor, quality is a factor. So you see some of these things, and you're paying like £8 for like a cold burger and a slab of like literally a bit of plastic cheese. And some you pay like 30p, say in an international country, and you're eating the most amazing food ever. Very interesting. So
what does Scran mean?
Scran means eat.
So I was right.
People, yeah. So people will say stuff like, people will say, oh, I can't wait to scran that. Traditionally, the word scran actually means food, but it's kind of become it's like a multi-purpose word, like it's got different meanings. As in you can say, oh, that's a lovely bit of scran, as in that's a lovely bit of food.
Like a lovely bit of squirrel.
I'm going to screw Jackie, or I'm going to scran that over there. Now, food and drink prices actually have become quite a big talking point in Augusta. So, for those who don't know, the Masters is coming up very, very soon, in the next couple of days at the time of recording. And interestingly, like we were talking about, Hope, I know we've discussed this before, less about Footie Scran, more about cost, that when you go to sporting events, more often than not, the prices are absolutely astronomical. Hence the Footie Scran comment, because again, that kind of plays a factor. So this is the sort of thing where international, I would call it sports Scran. This is big time, because at the Masters, a chicken sandwich costs $3 and beer only costs $5. Now, if you compare that to when I went to watch the New York Red
Oh,
Bulls
yeah.
or the New York Yankees, that was 50.
He always moans about this.
No,
Mentioned it about every episode. He's mentioned it since he went.
Oh, what, whatever. Look, the point is, the fact I didn't buy any beer and I didn't buy any food really because
Your mate did though, didn't he?
Yeah, my mate, and he spent $150 on beer, and it was ridiculous. The point was, anyway, the reason why I'm arguing, it's like, every time I bring up New York, it's, I remember New York and that stupid prices. Now, the Georgia Peach, this is quite a fun thing we're going to insert. This is quite cool. They've got an ice cream sandwich, which is called the Georgia Peach Ice Cream Sandwich. That's $2.50. And actually,
That's
cheese
all right.
sandwich isn't. No, it's good. It's $1.50. Hope if you compare this, right, to other sporting events, I wanted to bring this up because I thought, actually, the Masters are doing it right. And there's clearly a focus on the tournament of keeping fans happy because a bit like if we're talking about horse racing in a different way, you think about going to an event, regardless where you're coming from, whether you live next door to it or whether you've got to travel for 5,000 miles. Everything costs to go somewhere. Time, money, resources, the ticket to get in the ground or the concourse or whatever.
And then when you're there, you're a captured market.
Exactly. So the point is, it's not a rip-off. Now, the PGA Championship, which is a golf tour out in America, $19 for a beer, $13 for wine at St Andrews Golf Course, which is up in...
Scotland.
Way!
Ramesh and...
Ranganathan. Oh, and what's his name? The blonde guy.
Yeah, what's his name?
Rob Beckett.
They went there.
Yes, they did. Yes, exactly. Yes, they did in their series. Yes. So the St Andrews Fish and Chips is £12.50. Pizza's £13. Like just these ridiculous prices. So the Masters are doing it right. I hope I was going to ask you on that note. Where have you been where something was absolute value for money aside Aldi and Lidl? What event have you ever been to an event and you've gone, that is a bargain?
So the thing is, I can be quite frivolous with my money. So sometimes I'll be like, well, I want it. So I don't. So my parents are very different to me. My dad would be like, that's gone up in price. I'm not buying it. Whereas I'm like, well, I want it. So I'm still going to buy it. I remember, this is not the answer to your question, it's the actual opposite, but I went to a boxing show. And then after the boxing show, we went to the kind of after party, which was at a Hilton.
Yeah.
I ordered a glass of wine. Guess how much a glass of wine was in the Hilton?
What size was it?
Obviously, it's large, as me.
Obviously, it's large.
Obviously, it's large.
After a long
mess
day,
around.
I need some wine. £7-8?
£20 for a glass of wine.
Oh my goodness!
£20. I was like,
you should have gone to the local corner shop.
Oh, do you know what my expenses that I was given that day is only 15 quid. So it wouldn't even cover my glass of wine, honestly. So yeah, in terms of value for money, I am quite frivolous. I'll be like, well, I want it, so I'll get it.
There are some people you see at the football and they've spent the whole day travelling or whatever. They get to the ground, they've bought 4 pints. It's like 25, what's it, they call it £7 a pint in London. Right, yeah, call it 25 quid, 25 quid for 4 pints. And it's like, so expensive. And again, you're right, Hope. Some people are frivolous with money, some people aren't. But for me, I just think that it's very expensive. But good on the Masters for like, I would say standing up and doing what's right for the people, and actually lowering prices, because it does make a big difference. And it certainly relieves, when you queue up and you get to the front and you're looking at the board and you're like, George Rops, as it says, £900 for a bottle of water, and then you have to pay to breathe as well. It's like,
Good joke. Boom.
Hope, moving on to our last story of the day. Now, we're talking about money, dollar. We're talking about Sporting Billionaires 2020.
That might just be the most embarrassing thing you've ever done.
No, I don't need freaking backing music. What am I supposed to do? I can't beatbox and do the...
What you could have done is money.
I don't know that song.
Money.
Who sings that?
I don't know, but it's not
that song. Dollar. I can't remember who raps. Don't look at me like that. Now, we're talking, Hope, about the 12 newcomers to the 2023 World Billionaires ranking in sport, of course. And actually, Hope, this is quite interesting. I found some cool facts I quite liked. So I'm bringing you 3 people that we do know about, one of which I didn't know about, that are now new billionaires into the world of sport.
You said cool facts. Is it going to be cooler than your rap that you done at the beginning?
Here comes the money. Money. It goes dollar. Yeah. Look. Wasn't that far off. You didn't even know the frigging song.
Well, who who sings it?
Yeah. Well, apparently it's I believe it's Jim Johnston. It actually was involved in WWE. There you go. Fun fact. Now, interestingly, Hope, 94 of the 100 most watched broadcasts in the US were actually all sporting events. Talking of last week about sort of the world of sport growing and money being involved. So we're talking about 3 billionaires that have just come on. I wouldn't say come onto the scene. They're definitely well known. We're going to start with number 1, Miss Amy Adams Strunk. Great name. Have you ever heard of her before?
Is she the comedian? No?
Hey, we talk. Oh yes, the comedian, the sporting billionaire comedian. No,
I don't know. You asked me who I thought it was, so I answered you.
Sorry, no, she's not. Who are you?
Yeah, you should say sorry.
Anyway, Amy Adams Strunk, which is a good name, is worth $1.7 billion. She actually owns the Tennessee Titans, who are an NFL team. Now,
Tennessee Titans, man.
I'm not even going to. You said mine was bad.
No. I also had a throat fart at the same time when I done that. I went. Don't you hate them? It's like a half burp. It's like
it's terrible. Yeah,
and everyone can hear it. Also,
I didn't hear it, to be fair. So you kind of got.
I used to get them at school.
Burpee Hope.
It used to be so embarrassing. In year 7, I don't know if it was like anxiety induced, but I would get them so badly in like geography, and everyone would turn around and look at me, and I'd be like,
"Really?"
Yeah, throat
fart. I feel like we'd have had fun in school. It would have been class.
Do you think?
Yeah, I reckon we'd have had a good. I reckon we'd have poked each other in lessons. Like it would have been
good bants. Well, I feel like we're like brother and sister at bants.
We are exactly. It is good fun. So. Yeah, so
anyway, away from throat farts and back to £1.7 billion.
Yeah, so she actually took control of the Tennessee Titans in 2015. Sadly, 2 years after the death of her father, who actually owned the Tennessee Titans, and her stake that was worth 50%. And it's a bit complicated to explain stakes and involved in investment in sports generally, but for football specifically, as in NFL, we'll just basically explain that she's now got 100% of the business. Now, quite impressive, really, Amy, because I didn't know a lot about her, and actually I've learned quite a lot. So. She actually made some key changes. So she took charge in 2015, like I said. Her team, before she was the leading shareholder, was a won 3 games for that season is the easiest way sports dummies to break it down. They weren't very good. Since she has taken charge, Hope, they have posted 6 consecutive winning seasons. That's more wins than losses. They've had playoff berths, so they've made the playoffs 4 out of 5 years. And actually, she's done a lot for their local charity work and stuff like that. It's been amazing, really. And in spring 2018, this is quite cool as well, she collaborated with Nashville to secure the 2019 NFL draft in downtown Nashville, which of course is Tennessee. And actually, that is the most successful NFL draft in history because a record 600,000 fans were there to watch the draft unfold and take place. And she's involved. She's a businesswoman involved with their family's farming and ranch business. And it's very interesting. So she actually is one of multiple women.
Go, girl.
Yeah. Or Hope. Do you know what? It's cool because there aren't a lot of women that I could name that are involved of top football sporting organisations in this country. Aside Delia Smith is the main one, owner of Norwich City, for those that don't know.
Is she?
Yes, she is. Delia Smith. After her
chef.
Yes, she is. Yeah. Sorry, I couldn't. Yes, Delia Smith, because her dad owned her dad owned it and then passed it on to her. So Delia Smith owns it.
The only thing I don't like about this, and I like the fact that the fathers are like giving it to their daughters, because traditionally they wouldn't have probably done that. But it does take a little bit of a shine out of it that it's not just they've done it as a woman. Do you know what I mean? Like they've inherited it, and they're making it great, and that's wonderful. And I'm not taking away from what Amy's done. But it does leave a little bit of a sour taste in your mouth.
No, I understand, Hope. I do get that. But I think equally, the fact there are so many women involved in the ownership of NFL teams is massive. And it certainly is, I would argue, it sets a really good standard of how balanced. And we spoke in Series 5, for those that haven't listened, go back and listen. We were speaking about equality in sport, specifically football. And we had that Premier League list come out of equality in different clubs. And this, especially from a sporting perspective as a whole, I think the NFL have done a great job, really, with involving both men and women in leadership. But you're right, there is that element, a bit like a lot of people say, that when your parents are famous or someone's got loads of money and you just inherit it, it's like, but
money goes to money, doesn't it? But I mean, at least maybe if she has her own children, whether I don't know if
she does. Yes, she does.
So at least if they inherit it from her, it will be that was my mom.
Exactly. So that's number 1. Now, number 2, Hope, we're talking about someone that's going to be involved in the Masters as well, Mr. Tiger
Woods. Naughty Nelly.
Why is he naughty?
Because he cheated on his wife.
Anyway, I hope he's worth $1.1 billion. And he actually turned down, interestingly, he turned down 9 figures, which would have been at least $100 million, if not more, to join the Saudi-backed LIV Golf Tour, which we've never covered on this podcast, actually, purely because the politics are very, very complicated and it's a very messy history within golf. But in essence, Tiger Woods is not taking money. He wants to play for pride rather than cash. So he's ranked now 1.7.
That would mean something if you had no money. Like, if you've got like how much was it?
It's got $1.1 billion.
Right, $1.1 billion. And then you're turning down something because you're like, no, my pride is more important than the money. Like we got $1.10 billion anyway.
Yeah, it's a lot of cash. It's $1.1 billion, which is a lot of money.
Yeah, now, so no, he doesn't get credit for his pride there.
Okay, fine. But either way, he's currently preparing for the Masters. 16-time champion, of course, absolute GOAT of golf. Now, he's actually admitted prior to the tournament his mobility is not really where it should be. But we'll have to wait and see how he gets on, because effectively, he, in 2019 with the Masters, that was just before we started recording, which is a shame, but he made the comeback. You know, we spoke, Hope, about his injury when he had that...
car crash.
Yes, car crash, and he's made a huge recovery since then. So again, we'll have to wait and see how he gets on, but amazing that he's really back in the game and competing.
How old is he now? He must be getting on.
Is he 43, actually?
Oh, he must maybe younger than I thought he was. If he's feeling a bit stiff, maybe needs some cod liver oil.
He's 47, so I wasn't far off. He's 47.
Well, I thought he was in his 60s, so that's better than what I thought.
No, so you go. That's number 2. So there are, by the way, to say as well, there were 12 people that made the list of the billionaires. I'm just naming 3 for purposes that
He's just naming his faves.
Exactly. Well, Toto Wolff was on there. He owns a Mercedes. He's a good lad. But we're ending it with number 3. We're talking about LeBron James, who's worth $1 billion.
Is that what he says?
Have you not? Please tell me you've seen that meme.
No.
Wow, we are from different generations. You haven't seen the kid that goes LeBron James. You haven't seen that meme.
I have not seen that meme.
Okay, I'll have to insert it and give context. I'm going to play it for you now, so you then know this. See, I tell you must, after these episodes, you must think, wow, the stuff that Lewis comes up with is just
You educate
weird.
me in a whole heap of ways. I do feel like you're Gen Z, aren't you?
Yeah,
I'm meant to be, but I feel like I've escaped it.
This kid. You've never seen that video?
Never seen that in my life.
Okay, so every time LeBron James, like for fun now, people say LeBron James. Like, you remember in school, you might have had this potentially. When people used to shoot pieces of paper, everyone would shout, Kobe. That's in the next.
No one done that either.
You didn't know that? Okay. So LeBron broke the all-time scoring record in the NBA, which I know we discussed in February. Now, he's expected to make $124.5 million on and off the court this season with endorsements from people like Nike, Pepsi, AT&T. Now, I wanted to say, Hope, LeBron's a good, interesting guy because we've spoken about different elements. We've spoken about really a pioneer, I would argue, in NFL women's ownership. We've spoken about Tiger Woods, one of the GOATs in golf, and one of the GOATs, LeBron James, in basketball. Now, LeBron is setting his sights really past just basketball, and he's taken his earnings and he's invested in real estate, food, fitness. He actually has a stake in which football club?
Is it an English football club?
Yes.
Chelsea?
No, I hope it's Liverpool. He's a 2% stake.
Oh, that's what my next guess was.
Liverpool.
Why don't you let me have another guess?
Because you got it wrong. You don't get.
But you meant to have 2 guesses.
LeBron James has a 2% stake in Liverpool. I had that for a few years, actually, because he's involved with our owners, who also own the Boston Red Sox. I was going to say the Reds. I was thinking I was going Roston Bed Sox, and I was thinking, well, on earth, Boston Red Sox.
I don't recommend wearing socks in bed.
Some people have to. Some people get cold feet. It's weird, isn't it? I don't.
It's weird. Your heat really does come out of your head and your feet. Because if you take your hat off, you cool down quick. If you put socks on, you warm up quick. I know what I'm trying to say. I'm sounding like a dumbass. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I do. Interestingly enough, I've always found that someone like me with big hair. Don't get me wrong. Those hats.
I said big feet.
No, the hair. I always find those hats that people wear in tennis, the silly ones where they've got the open top and you can see the hair that comes through in the cap. I think that's stupid. But on the one hand, when it's 35 degrees and I'm wearing my hat to not get sunburnt and my head's boiling, it'd be quite helpful to have some breathing room and But anyway,
but then you'd get a sunburnt scalp.
No, I've got hair. I've got thick hair though. Doesn't
Yeah, but the sun can penetrate.
just melt through and get your burnt. A burnt head is very, very good. Anyway, burnt's not nice. So LeBron obviously has investments off the court. So potentially when he retires, whenever that will be, we'll have to wait and see. Could be this season, could be tomorrow, could be in 5 years. No one really knows with LeBron. Could be ages. But the point is, lots of people that are involved in the world of sports now are taking their interests far and wide, past beyond the court, field, pitch that they're playing on, or running on, or swimming, cycling, whatever the context is. For LeBron, it's obviously basketballing. So there you go. Hope that really wraps up episode number 3 of the Sports Dummies podcast. We've gone all the way from ethics.
Episode 2.
Oh, I'm sorry, episode 2. We've gone all the way from ethics all the way over to burning your head with the sun.
I do think that if you do come into money, investing in property, business, and a passion project, the ways to go.
You've heard it here from Crypto Hope.
Before we say goodbye, I wanted to get your opinion on Anthony Joshua's performance the other day against Jermaine Franklin Jr.
It was all right. Like, I wasn't thrilled really, like a lot of fights, but it was okay. That would be my answer. What would yours be?
He didn't look like he wanted to be there. In his eyes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I really like Jermaine Franklin Jr. as well.
Yeah, he seems like a really good guy. Like an amazing story.
Yeah, and he's like not my pal, but like we've DM'd a few times and stuff, and he's a sweet man. So I kind of had a bit of I did have my fingers crossed Jermaine was going to win. I'm not going to lie.
Well, this is my. In fact, I'm going to give an opinion, actually throwing it in the opposite way to what Anthony Joshua said. AJ said, he said people are getting bored of 12-round fights. The answer is yes. Knock someone out. I'm like, again, I'm not saying that points, of course, means a lot, obviously, but it just reminds me of that. Again, I'm by no means am I comparing them, but just like sitting through round after round after round, it's like I just want a knockout. For me, in my head, the way that this should go, and this would be my verdict. After 12 rounds, right, the rule should be that, in the, and again, this is all hypothetical, I'm not saying this would work. You get those weird slap competitions where people slap each other and get knocked out. I think they should do it where it becomes one punches, and you get one punch, and whoever falls down first, not knocked out.
Penalties.
Yeah, but the first person who falls down, not knocked out, they have to be clean out on the floor, like gone. But the first person that falls down, it's done. That's the winner, gone, there. And that'll be it. Just makes it a bit more fun.
A penalty shootout in boxing.
Make it a bit more interesting, because you sit through 12 rounds and you've paid all that money or whatever, even if you're watching on DAZN, you've paid money to watch, and there's no winner. There is obviously a winner actually on points, but I mean physically.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not going to judge him. You get in the ring, you're risking your life. Like, you're putting it all on the line. You could literally die in there. I would like him to kind of maybe find his purpose within it, and I'd like him to look like he wants to be there and enjoys being there again.
So, Anthony, if you need any personal...
I'm so kind.
Anthony, if you need any personal chatting, Hope is here to help you, to console you, to guide you.
No, I don't mix work with pleasure, thank you. You'll have to crack on with Laura Woods.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, blimey, yeah. Enough of that. Thank you very much for listening, everybody. We really do appreciate your time. For anyone that's enjoyed it, please do email us at sportsfordummiespodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what you thought of the episode, anything that we missed that we should have covered, and leave us a like on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, click link. And if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you name it, give us a 5-star review because we'd really appreciate it.
Love you lots, Lewis.
Love you too. Bye.
Bye.